Hey everybody, this is Mike with the One Stop Co-op Shop, and today I'm reviewing Conquest Princess, and disclaimer that I got a review copy of this one. In Conquest Princess, you play through one of several scenarios, battling enemies and dealing with crises both on your spaceship and on different battle boards, and trying to manage all the terribleness while drawing tokens from a bag to resolve combat, hoping you can survive horrible threats and stay fashionable enough to win the day. So let's discuss 5 key things to know about Conquest Princess. So first, my number 5 point, which is the least important to know, but still important, or I wouldn't be talking about it in this video, are the characters in the game and how you sort of level up and power up. So you always use the same 4 characters with the same powers, no matter what the player count is, you just divide them up. But the actual powers each character has is pretty cool. They can also do a one-time power up per game, which makes their armor way stronger, which gives them an immediate cool bonus. But let's spin on the scenario, they can get these pets that give them really powerful abilities. They can get temporary or permanent fashion items. And you can even, in bag builder fashion, get tokens into the bag that permanently make it stronger. But the reason I'm calling this a mix is because all this stuff is fairly hit or miss, whether you'll get it or whether it'll be useful. Like in some games, you'll never power up. In some games, you won't get many of these cards or they won't help you that much. But when things come together and your character gets some cool combos going, it can be pretty awesome. My number 4 point, which is a full pro for my taste, are these scenarios. And these are quite varied. You've got a tutorial, which is really just for learning the game, but then 3 full scenarios of varying difficulty. And they each use different boards that you're managing and doing stuff on with pretty different mechanics. They each have their own event deck that changes up what's happening to you. Even the way you level up and what you have access to can be changed. And honestly, comparing this to other adventure crisis management games, this feels like it has almost 3 times as much content just because it is so varied to explore these different scenarios, and you could just play one of them over and over if you wanted to. The only small caveat for me is that you do have to refer to the rulebook a lot because the rules do change quite a bit scenario to scenario, and I find sometimes the rules aren't 100% as clear for some effects as I would like, although the designer is super active on Board Game Geek if you want to have questions answered. My number 3 point, which is also a pro, is the hit bag that you use to resolve combat, which is a pretty important part of the game. You draw a token from the bag, and it could be a hit, it could be a miss, it could even be a critical miss that also damages you. But when you hit enemies, the hit tokens actually go onto the board, and there are different ways to get them back, whether you're on the ship or on a battlefield. And if you take the time to get those tokens back, then it's going to adjust your probability for future combat, so pretty cool. And even when you have a miss or a critical miss, it goes onto your little load section here, and in a future turn, you can lock it down and get a free power cube for doing so. It gives you fewer actions, but then you can use the power cube to get another one. So you can kind of save the badness from other players for a little while. There's just a lot of interesting choices and mitigation with these tokens. Overall, I really enjoy it, although if you hate randomness, it might frustrate you. For my number 2 point, which is another pro, lots of pros for this one, but with some caveats and warnings, it's the crisis management. And there's just a lot going on here, and it's really cool, really thematic. So you've got your actual spaceship, the Tiara, and these enemies are warping in here. If you leave them alone, they'll blow up parts of your ship, and then you won't be able to do as much with your actions. But then based on the scenarios, you've got all this other stuff going on. You might be having to shoot up at people sort of Space Invaders style, or have a side-scrolling sort of video game feel where you have to keep on pressing forward and dealing with enemies as you go. And like most crisis management games, the cooperation in the game between characters really comes from deciding who's going to go where and how you can kind of help each other out. And that brings in my caveat. The game's really challenging, things can compound, and sometimes you'll just feel like victory snowballs away from you and you are crushed by just enemies after enemies after enemies and terrible things happening. But hey, that's part of the fun, right? Finally, my number 1 point, the thing I think is most important to know about the game, are the really tough tactical decisions and puzzly feel of the game. Now, this isn't going to be for everyone. I like it a lot because I like kind of challenging puzzles, but it's definitely not a just like sit down and play around kind of game. You got to think carefully about what you're going to do. But yeah, you can move, you can shoot, you can engage, although engaging is interesting in that for most characters, it ends your turn. So you want to kind of massage your action choices to try to engage at the end whenever possible, and you can spend these power cubes to do extra actions, but you can also save them up and transform and power up, so good choices there. And I didn't mention this during the crisis management section, but it's really important to know, you are generally, unless your ship is messed up, you are generally aware of what the next 2 possible events could be, and you get to pick which one you want to resolve. So although there's randomness in combat results, otherwise there doesn't really feel like a lot that's out of your control. You can really see exactly what's going to happen, which things you need to deal with, try to coordinate between players to help each other out. And you can share powers between each other when you're in the same space. So if you can kind of coordinate your movement and have people team up, they can get amazing things accomplished. So yeah, if you like meaty, strategic, and tactical play, I think this one will be a winner for you too. So overall, if you like crisis management games, if you want a game with a lot of variety and a lot of tactical depth, Conquest Princess might be for you. But on the other hand, if you're looking for a game that has a quick playtime, that has a small footprint, that has super easy rules to digest, or one that's kind of easy and breezy and you can make mistakes without too much consequence, you might want to avoid this one. And if you want to see the game in action, the prototype preview play we have on the channel from during the campaign pretty much still applies. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.